Global tensions have reached an unprecedented level as a Chinese vessel is reported to have transited the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most vital and volatile maritime choke points in the world. Amid rising friction between major powers and Middle Eastern states, this move has not only drawn attention but also sparked widespread speculation about the trajectory of an increasingly unstable global order. The Strait of Hormuz, linking the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea, has long served as a critical artery for global energy trade. Roughly a third of the world's oil supply passes through this narrow corridor each day, making it both strategically indispensable and highly vulnerable. In recent weeks, the region has witnessed a noticeable surge in military activity. Warships, fighter jets, and air defense systems from multiple countries have been placed on high alert, creating an atmosphere thick with uncertainty. As the Chinese vessel entered these waters, analysts and observers immediately began asking, is this a routine transit or a calculated strategic signal? Some experts interpret the move as a clear indication that China is prepared to play a more assertive role in global security affairs, especially in regions traditionally influenced by Western powers. This development comes at a time when relations among major global actors are increasingly fragile. Strategic competition has intensified across multiple domains, from trade to military posture. Within this context, the presence of a Chinese ship in the Strait of Hormuz can be seen as part of a broader effort to safeguard national interests, particularly energy security. As one of the world's largest energy consumers, China depends heavily on oil imports from the Middle East. Ensuring the safety of maritime supply routes is therefore not just a priority. It is a necessity. By sending a vessel through such a sensitive region, China may be signaling that it will not remain passive if vital trade corridors are threatened. However, this move also carries significant risk. Other nations could interpret it as a provocation or an escalation, especially given the already tense environment. In geopolitics, perception often matters as much as intent, and even a routine maneuver can be misread in a climate of suspicion. Meanwhile, Western nations, particularly the United States, have long maintained a strong military presence in the area. Naval forces regularly patrol these waters to ensure freedom of navigation and to deter potential disruptions. The introduction of Chinese naval activity into this already crowded and sensitive space raises the possibility of unintended encounters. A minor miscalculation, a communication breakdown, or even a simple misunderstanding could escalate rapidly into a broader confrontation. For countries in the Middle East, the situation is equally complex. On one hand, regional stability is essential for economic survival. On the other, their territories and waters have become arenas for global power competition. Every move by a major power carries implications for local security, alliances, and economic prospects. In such a fragile environment, neutrality becomes increasingly difficult to maintain. Reports have also suggested that the Chinese vessel may have been accompanied by military escorts, although details remain unclear. If confirmed, this would suggest a heightened level of caution and readiness, indicating that the transit was conducted under the assumption of potential threats. Military escorts are rarely deployed without reason. They often reflect an awareness of elevated risk. The global economic impact of these developments is already becoming evident. Oil markets have shown signs of volatility, reacting to concerns over potential supply disruptions. Investors and governments alike are closely monitoring every update from the region, aware that even minor incidents in the Strait of Hormuz can ripple across the global economy. Energy prices, shipping costs, and market confidence all hinge on the stability of this critical passage. Despite the rising tension, there remains hope that diplomacy can prevent further escalation. Several nations have called for restraint, dialogue, and de-escalation, emphasizing the importance of keeping communication channels open. In today's interconnected world, a large-scale conflict would not remain contained. It would affect economies, security structures, and societies far beyond the immediate region. Still, the risks remain high, with multiple actors involved, each pursuing distinct strategic objectives. Finding common ground is a formidable challenge. In such an environment, every decision carries weight, and every action has the potential to trigger unintended consequences. The margin for error is thin, and the stakes could not be higher. The presence of a Chinese ship in the Strait of Hormuz also raises broader questions about shifting global power dynamics. For decades, Western military forces dominated this region. However, China's growing capabilities and expanding global ambitions are beginning to reshape that balance. Many analysts view this as part of a transition toward a more multipolar world, where influence is distributed among several major powers rather than concentrated in one. This transformation carries both opportunities and risks. On one hand, a multipolar system may encourage greater cooperation and shared responsibility. On the other, it can also lead to increased rivalry and instability if not carefully managed. Without effective mechanisms to resolve disputes and build trust, competition can quickly escalate into confrontation. In many ways, the Strait of Hormuz has become a symbol of these broader global challenges. It is a narrow passage with enormous significance, a place where economic lifelines intersect with geopolitical tensions. Its stability is essential not only for the countries that border it, but for the entire world. As events continue to unfold, the international community watches closely. Every movement, every statement, and every shift in posture is analyzed for clues about what might come next. In this uncertain environment, the only certainty is that the consequences will extend far beyond the waters of the Strait of Hormuz. Ultimately, the central question remains: can the world avoid a major conflict and find a way to coexist amid rising complexity?
The transit of a Chinese ship through this critical waterway may be just one episode in a larger story, but it reflects a deeper reality, a world in transition, marked by shifting power, competing interests, and fragile stability. As night falls over the Strait of Hormuz, the lights of ships continue to move across the dark waters, carrying with them both hope and chinta.
Behind each vessel lies a story of ambition, strategy, and survival. And as the world watches with bated breath, the next chapter in this unfolding geopolitical drama is yet to be written.